If there's one thing that you would like people to remember from this conversation, what it would be?
Hold the vision, trust the process, create value every day.
Wow.
Sarthak Ahuja is the go-to financial mind behind many modern founders' success stories.
With a massive following on Instagram and LinkedIn, his feed has become a daily guide for thousands navigating money, work, and entrepreneurship.
Why do you want to get into entrepreneurship? The biggest thing is I want to be my own boss. Very bad reason for you to want to become an entrepreneur. You've got vendors, you've got employees, you've got customers, you've got so many things to take care of. You're not going to get your weekends, you're not going to get anything else.
Founders who are watching this conversation and their life is like crazy with stress and burning out with their businesses. What is the first step they can take for joy? For example, in terms of money, how do you know when it's enough?
There's a rule which is called the 4% rule, okay?
Okay.
Which essentially means that
what were some of the beliefs that you had in your upbringing about money due to your, your grandparents, your parents?
I think born to both parents were accountants. One learning that they always gave me was that when you're a student, don't think about money. Don't think about how much you'll earn. If you need to go out and start earning, and should you optimize for a higher stipend during your learning period? Because then it kind of takes you away from a longer perspective. They always told me that when you're a student,
Yeah.
don't think too much about money or earning money a little too soon. There is a time for everything, and give it due time with your main objective being learning. And once you've hit that, then try and optimize for capital. I see where they really came from, because both of them in their respective families were kind of like one of the firsts to have studied as much. And in that generation and at that time, it's the educational qualifications that really gave people the safety net to at least have a certain amount of income coming in. So I think it was both safe as well as good, because safe because when someone pushes you towards education, they understand that it'll secure your life to a great degree. And also, I think I would say long term, from the perspective that it puts you in the right mindset to be able to defer gratification.
Wow.
I think that was a huge learning for me, which I think also applies a great deal to entrepreneurship, and no matter what you do. So yeah, it kind of gave me the courage to not sit for placements during my undergrad, during my postgrad, and and I know you don't come from an Indian educational system, but being here, you've learned enough about it. Here, MBA colleges are all about placements and ROI and how quickly can you get placed. Um, and apart from all the education they give you, it's essentially you go there because they can place you. It's not, you're not on your own to look for jobs. It's the college's responsibility to do that for you. And when, say, I went to an MBA college where there were 900 people in the batch, and there were probably less than, I think, 30 who decided to not sit for placements, and most of them came from huge family businesses, thousands of crores in revenue, and I was one where I remember there was a job offer that I'd gotten even before the placement started, because a company was looking for a very specific profile, and they found it in my resume, and they kind of requested the college if I could kind of sit with them, do an interview, an interaction to figure out if it's a fit. And I remember calling up my dad and telling him that, I've gotten this offer and it seems fabulous from a pay and a package perspective. And he said, absolutely feel free to take it up if you want to. But I think in the long term, you may be happier taking a bet on yourself and starting something today. Um, I understand I come from a sense of privilege where I did not have the pressure to repay an educational loan.
Yeah.
So I'm very aware of certain privileges that allow a person to take certain long-term bets. So that happened, and I think at the end of 1 year after graduating, I was glad I took that bet to not take up a job, because you build something much larger in long term.
Wow, I love that. Actually, it's funny because my team was interviewing me for a podcast we did, and they asked me that question. And for me, that's the advice that I give also to youngsters. Exactly what you said. When you start your career, don't just optimize for money.
Correct.
Optimize for learning and optimize for a manager, meaning or look for a manager that can invest in you.
Absolutely.
And then after a while, you start optimizing for money. So it's wow. But I'm so happy that your father gave you that advice, and I really like, because it's true. Even as an entrepreneur, it's exactly the same principle. A lot of entrepreneurs, they go for short games, short, and when you play the long-term game, it completely changes.
Absolutely.
And when the founders that you work, what do you see their biggest struggle right now in the context that we are?
I think depending on at what part of their entrepreneurial journey they are, the struggles are very different.
Yeah.
Initially, it's just market validation. I have this one idea. A lot of times we tend to overestimate the size and scale of our ideas and think no one else has done it, and I've got this idea which is so great and I can't share it, and it's amazing, and we get so absorbed into it. So I think at the absolute early stages, it's the idea that really absorbs them. Sometime after that, when they get into executing and they realize how tough it is, they begin to realize that you can throw a lot more money at the problem and it can get solved. So fundraising becomes their biggest be all and end all of the moment I have funds, I'll be able to beat my competition. I'll be able to do this, because that's the only thing limiting me. The moment they get funds, the next step that we see is team building is so difficult, because even when you can throw money at people and get them to come, will they stick around? Will they contribute?
Yeah.
So you can't throw money at that problem only. So team building then becomes a big challenge, where they're like, how do we retain employees? How do we maintain that culture? How do we pass on the vision with which it started? And it's all breaking. And that's where they start bringing experts and they start building systems and all of that. And there comes a time when then it's grown. If you've taken capital, then getting an exit to your investors is just all consuming, or getting to an IPO or getting to an acquisition. And in this journey, how the founders change, and this journey is easily 7-8 years, if not more.
Yeah.
Or if not less. 7-8 years can really change a person.
So when you talk about what do you mean about those? Give me some examples, some practical examples about those psychological issues that founders might going through.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people want to become founders because they don't want to report to a boss. I mean, there are enough and many surveys done internationally, where when they ask people, why do you want to get into entrepreneurship? The biggest thing is, I want to be my own boss.
You think it's freedom? You think it's
correct? So it's essentially coming from wanting a sense of freedom,
Yeah.
which is a very bad reason for you to want to become an entrepreneur. Because you've got vendors, you've got employees, you've got customers, you've got so many things to take care of. And essentially any business, when it starts, because it's small, you essentially start from servant leadership, because you're trying to convince clients to work with you. You're trying to convince teams to work with you. So essentially those freedom constraints are going to be so much larger. You're not going to get your weekends. You're not going to get anything else. A lot of another big reason that people say is to be able to make some extra money. And when they say that, I think even that is a psychological problem on why or how they're looking at entrepreneurship. Because whenever you say that this venture or this business is just to supplement my income.
Mm.
You think you give it the same stature of a side hustle,
Yeah.
which
Quickly you understand.
which very quickly you'll understand and you'll be back in the loop of being dissatisfied, right?
Yeah.
Or a lot of times, another third big reason is people say, I want to be a founder for a sense of identity, or
Yeah.
I'll show that person that even I can do it.
Mm.
And they've always thought that I cannot, or I would be unable to.
Mm.
And I want to prove it to them. I think that's a big psychological issue because
Yeah. Yeah.
even if you achieve it,
Mm.
they'll find their reason to judge you. I mean, or if not them,
Someone else.
someone else. And so I understand again, I always feel confused that maybe for me to say this is also coming from a sense of privilege to say that as of now, I'm not driven by wanting to prove something to someone else
Mhm.
or wanting to do this because it's going to supplement my income,
Mhm.
do this because it's become my identity. Because I wouldn't want to be on a moral high ground to say that, oh, I am so holier than thou that I have
I see.
controlled my
Yeah.
brain and I am so good and
Yeah.
I'm not falling prey to these traps.
Mhm.
Because what people go through in their lives and the environments they're brought up in and things that they experience in their family and friends really shapes, and a lot of traumas would shape
Yeah.
this thinking.
Mm.
And yeah, someone goes through a separation that could really leave them with that trauma.
Mm.
And which is why it's not as simple to say you should not do this or you should not do that. I think the idea here is looking at traps, and if people can see that I'm falling into one, maybe they want to go into the root cause of really solving it uh, from the very seed of it,
Yeah.
rather than just saying, yeah, let's not do this.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I fully get what you mean. One is, I mean, some of them, they're looking for freedom,
Yeah,
which they quickly realize they have much less freedom than at my
absolutely.
previous job. So now they have another job, right?
Absolutely.
Second is about a side hustle or a little bit of money, which they quickly realize. I mean, this takes so much time that it will impact the other. And the third one is identity, right?
Absolutely.
And then they suddenly start to realize, okay, but wait a minute, maybe this was not what I signed up. Maybe
Correct.
they feel a bit empty. Do you sometimes feel meet founders that on the outside they have success and they're making money, but in deep inside they feel empty?
Um, I think I've seen a combination, and almost like a pattern,
Mm.
it'll happen when two sets of founders decide to take external capital. The moment you sign up for equity investors coming into your company,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's glorified in news reports and papers,
Mm.
and a lot of times people think that if I can't boast of my revenue at the time,
Yeah.
maybe I can boast of my valuation or how much capital I've raised,
Mm.
if it's relatively easily accessible to them.
Mm. Mm.
And they think revenue is going to be a lagging indicator, like
Yeah.
this fundraise could be leading and then we'll build the revenue. And it's easier to take it at times when it's being offered.
Yeah.
People say, you're building this, I really like it. If you need capital, take it. And when you've not had a win in entrepreneurship, because it's hard, it takes 2 years to just get somewhere, right?
Yeah.
To feel like, okay, we've gotten started.
Yeah.
Um, because when it comes easy and people fall prey to that short-term bait, what we've seen ends up happening is that in a few years, they realize I've gotten on this treadmill of raising capital and generating return from my investors, which is forcing me to now spend 80% of my time in optimizing for MISs, optimizing for the next round of capital, or else whatever I've built, they're going to take away and I'll be left with nothing, and this business will be left with nothing. And we've done so much PR, and that there have been case studies about how great we are, and this will always happen. And I think it's not just about entrepreneurs, it's about whenever one part of your narrative, one part of your being is exaggerated out of proportion for attention and for validation.
Oh.
The weight of that one aspect
Yeah.
is so crippling that it does not let you take action on others. And I would say somewhere social media is also similar. To give you a more primitive, basic example, it would be the fact that, I mean, imagine today with a certain amount of following that I may have. Earlier, I could just go out in my shorts and go to the local market and get something.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not saying I still can't do it, but you wouldn't want that when you are looked at as someone who talks about, say, as a food expert or a finance expert or a business expert or entertainer, that persona or that brand in your head becomes so big that you then start optimizing for, if I'm seen this way, will it have a negative impact on this imagery or this brand or this perception? And then you start limiting how you live your life. And it's not just money, it could be fame, it could be power, it could be anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So essentially, founders face something very similar. It's either revenue, it's either valuation, it's either the vision, or why we started it, and times have changed, situations have changed, contexts have changed, competition has changed, but you've tied your identity to something, right? So
Yeah.
it's very different for different people.
Yeah. 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 I really like what you said. And so people who go in that direction, in what you just said, what is your advice for them?
Okay, so here's something that I try to do,
Yeah.
which gives me a sense of balance.
Yeah.
And there may be a better way to do it.
Yeah.
But I kind of try to measure different aspects of my life and see if I'm maintaining a balance. It's almost like a scorecard
Yeah.
that gives you a visual of where things are getting out of hand and do you need to prioritize that.
Yeah.
So for example, I've got this Excel sheet. Um, there are 3 aspects that I measure. And in each aspect, there are 3 metrics that I measure. So the first one is, say, health. So I measure how much I'm sleeping because I know that's been an issue in the past. I've slept less and it's start to show in my health. I measure if I'm working out during the day, which at one point I used to do a lot of cardio and no muscle building. And then I realized, okay, that was a challenge. Maybe weight training is important. So I think that is one aspect that I measure and try and see there's a balance of types of exercise also. The third is just my sugar intake, which when I solved for, now it's calorie tracking. So essentially I'm looking at consumption,
Yeah.
spending of those calories
Yeah.
in the right way, and then optimizing for things like sleep, which is just
Yeah.
recovery.
Recovery. Yeah.
So that's health. I track these 3 metrics on a daily basis. The second metric that I look at is social. So have I spoken to my parents, or have I spent like quality time with them, which I think is some metric internally to have I had positive conversations? Have I gone, inquired about them? Have I told them about my day? Second is about my spouse, so spousal relationship. Am I in any way in conversations um, optimizing for winning the conversation over understand? It's just that little lens.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I try to measure on a green, amber, red metric. The third in relationship is friends, because over a period of time, again, data shows it that people end up losing their friends, and it's more difficult to make friends as you grow old. You have a lot more when you're in school, college. Yeah. So I have a measure for it. Like I've got a list of favorites, and every day I make it a point at least I'm calling one of those 8 people, having a quick, even if it's a 10-minute chat, 15-minute chat. And if I would look back and start thinking, how many of these people call me? They probably don't call me away. But it's very generous of them that they always pick up my call, or, so I think a lot of friendships are lost when you start keeping score on, I'm the one putting in all the effort and you never call me and stuff. Because it's part of my metric that I need to call. It just gets done. And, it's never, because I'm not tracking whether they are calling me, right?
Yeah.
So these 3 are social.
Yeah.
And the other 3 are learning, where for my learning, I try and look at, have I read for at least 2 hours every day? That's something I measure. Have I put out a piece of content? Because it shows I've learned a new insight, which I want to share with others. So one is an input metric, the other is an output metric.
Yeah.
And the third is what I call LTCG, or long-term capital gain, which is, am I working towards learning and creating something which is only going to show up in the long term? For example, writing a book is not a short-term process.
Oh, I see.
Or creating an asset. For example, when we create YouTube videos, we know as a platform, it's not easy to grow.
Yeah.
Something you have to put in a lot of effort in. And what happens is, a lot of times we all start putting a P&L lens to projects.
Yeah.
Saying that it must generate an X amount of revenue by such and such time for it to be sustainable. And yes, that is important. But in certain times, if life can offer you the privilege to shut that metric down and not look at it for some time, and you're going to optimize for it. For example, even at our scale on YouTube, we've not switched on ads. So we don't want to monetize, because we just want, if someone's watching this piece of content, we want to give them a better experience. We want them to watch and not be disturbed and just be immersed in it, right?
Okay.
So these are like health, social, learning. Each had 3 subsets that we measure. Mostly I try that there is an input metric and there is an output metric. Both are necessary, because outputs are a lot of times beyond your control. Inputs is what you can manage. And of course, business gets managed in a separate worksheet altogether.
So even the last one, which is more long term, do you measure that daily?
Yes, I try and measure that daily.
Wow.
And the way I try to measure that is, for example, we've got a couple of people in our team who are only working on long-term projects.
Oh, I see.
And what happens is, a lot of times you will end up being so busy in your daily work, which is practically every day, that you lose sight of what those people are meant to work on. And then if they start feeling disengaged, somewhere the entire compounding of that process breaks. So I find ways to engage them in the short term. I find ways to be in touch with them and just keeping check of the progress. Maybe doing a deeper dive meeting once a week, so that they don't feel like they don't care about this metric enough. And I think that's all I try to measure. I don't try to over optimize on that. But the team working on such projects should not feel like no one asks, no one knows what value are we adding. Of course, you can't do all of that every day.
Yeah.
But for example, I'll give you an example of a long-term project. So say my wife does a lot of content on marketing and branding, and she's put out, I think, more than 400 posts on LinkedIn, just talking about different subjects on Instagram. And I was like, you've got this body of knowledge and we need to put it in a book so that it's more organized if someone wants to learn all of this.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
Let's get it put into a book, and you've already written it. You've already put it down in one format.
Yeah.
So one of these long-term team members that we have, their project as of now is transcribing, organizing, so that when someone were to learn all that Aditi has put out in an order, converting it into a book. And now that she's doing it, we're going to go through it, see where we need to add more examples.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask her every day about how many posts did you transcribe,
Yeah.
what you've done. But as long as I'm just checking with her on, do you need any assistance?
Yeah.
Or there is this new example that we think can fit in and you have to see where it fits in.
Yeah.
Just that conversation shows that you have that switch on in your mindset to look more long term than short term.
Mm-hmm. Sarthak, I love so much what you said. Well, one, I admire you. I mean, I think a lot of people, they think, oh, but measuring every day all these things, it is crazy. For me, it's like a business. We are like a business. Like if you don't measure yourself, you cannot improve.
Correct.
And what you're doing is just you are self-aware about what is important for you, right? And you can see where you're going. And I think where a lot of people get lost is that they want to do so many things, but they don't even know, am I spending enough time on what is important for me? And you are doing that. And as a founder, there's so much going on. If we don't create those foundations for us, then it's very easy to just go to burnout or so. I'm doing the same. And there's one more. I'm not tracking. Actually, I'm going to start also tracking. So thank you for sharing that. I learned from you. I'm also going to start tracking the learning part, which is very important. But one that I'm tracking the same three as you, not the sugar one, but I'm tracking HRV. The heart rate variability that gives me my stress level.
Correct.
Which as a founder, it's very useful. So I track that actually it's my number one metric.
And that's great. And I think for everyone, the metric has to change.
Exactly.
For example, at one point I was optimizing for sugar. It's now changed to calories. But and as of now, God's been kind. At least the stress metric on my Whoop is not out of whack and it's in order. But God forbid if it does go, that'll have to come back on my sheet too.
Yeah. And the funny thing about stress as a founder, a lot of times we are not even aware that we are stressed. The first, I have the same, so I also measure, and I know my stress level, and I know also it allows me to prepare for the future. I know when I need holidays, also. So needs to be a planning. Wow. So I'm happy that you share that. So we share the same. We do the same, and that has changed my life. To track those metrics is very important. And now I want to add also the learning, which is really also really important. What is now as a founder for you? How do you define success for you?
Okay, so what I realized in my journey is that I always had certain, because we're essentially in services. In services, that as long as your employee costs and your administrative costs are within certain benchmarks, margins are definitely high in services. We're all aware. So I think in services, what most people end up tracking are the billables and the receivables and the essential cash flow, right? So they look at cash flow, how many things are ongoing, what's going to be billed for, what is yet to be receivable, and what are receivables looking like. And I always had a number and I would measure it. And gradually, when when I started not enjoying interacting with certain clients, and I would try and put myself in their shoes and thinking, if I don't enjoy working with these guys or speaking to these guys, do they still find joy? Like, is it a relationship where they're enjoying and I'm hating it?
Yeah.
A lot of times I would realize that maybe they may also not be having the most optimal experience working with us. Okay? It could be. And I'll tell you why, because especially in services, when you do something with all your heart, that vibe can be sensed by the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you do something because you're like, okay, I just need to get done with it,
Yeah.
even if it's correct or even if it's
Yeah.
right, it may dim the experience for someone else, and someone else
Yeah.
can give them a better experience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And at times I realized with certain kind of projects and tasks that we would take up that I don't enjoy this work as much. I've taken it up because I was optimizing for revenue
Yeah. Yeah.
or billables. And every business has that stage. So maybe it was right for me to optimize for revenue in certain stages of our business, and that's absolutely okay. At one point, I realized that I had to change the metric. For example, we were looking at how much revenue growth every year and every quarter we evaluate, do we need to optimize for? And it just takes up your targets and it takes up your benchmarks. And at one point, I decided we are capping our revenue targets to this number, beyond which now we're not going to sit quarterly or annually to say we need to increase this target. Unless there is so if we start another vertical, that may in itself have its own thing because the team needs to have targets and that's a motivator for them.
Yeah.
But internally between me and my partner, we had a clear understanding that at this point onwards, we're not optimizing for revenue. What we're optimizing for is joy. We have to, and we know systems are in place that this much of revenue will now easily the system will take care of. The moment that happened, I think my life has become better in the sense that I have lesser time, to be honest. I feel I'm busier, but my stress levels don't shoot up. I sleep in peace. And I enjoy it. Like I would rather live every day just optimizing for those joys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this kind of freedom, I know people who have investors will never have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, everyone's story and needs are different. But I think personally for me, when I put a cap on revenue, this much is enough. This is enough. We don't need more than this to, in any tangible way, like change our lives or do anything. It'll just be a number beyond this. And like, I'll only do work that I love to do. If I don't enjoy it, no matter how much money is on the table, I'm not going to take it up. And I think it's amazing, right? Like that feeling is good.
Yeah.
I know it takes a few years to get there.
Yeah.
I know it takes a lot of hard work and toil to get there. But maybe that's what is like getting off of the hedonic treadmill as we call it, right?
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of people to get there, they will also have to optimize for certain financial independence and other metrics which are necessary. And you must take care of that before you optimize for joy. Because duties come first and enjoyment comes later. I think those duties are very important for people to take care of, and they must.
But for you, what was the turning point? What do you remember the switch? What made you move from optimizing, let's say, revenue to joy?
I think when you optimize for joy, essentially what you're doing is you are able to think long term and you're able to remove pressures of whatever activity I do in business has to generate an X amount of money.
I
So when you stop taking,
Oh,
and I'll give you a more primitive
Yeah.
example. You know, this is just from last night's dinner conversation at home. Both my parents, my wife, and I, four of us were sitting having dinner. It was just like 12, 15 hours ago. And I'd never heard my mom say this earlier. And she said, you know what, your grandfather used to always say, never keep an account of your household expenses. And I was like, what? How are you saying this? Like, we come from a family of accountants. I measure everything, but that's not financially sound advice, because I see a lot of people getting into a lifestyle trap and they don't track how much they're spending. And then when I was having this conversation, or a little bit of I wouldn't say an argument, just this digging deeper into why he said that. And my father said, yeah, your grandmother said, like, so basically it was on either side and they had different upbringing.
Yeah.
And they said, see, the thing is, as long as while you're making the spend, you are mindful, as long as you are aware of your limits and you're mindful,
Yeah.
the moment you start accounting for how much you've spent in the household,
Yeah.
if say, for example, and you know, they came from families where my grandparents were, you know, like I told you, refugees. So anyway, resources were limited.
Yeah.
They said what they would say would happen is, for example, a guest comes over and you order snacks and you do everything for their hospitality. And the moment you put a number to it and you look at it, someone in the house may think, oh, we've really overstretched ourselves
I see.
in making them feel welcomed. Or you would start curtailing certain other aspects.
Yeah.
And then the next time that person comes over, you would think, oh, last time we went a little overboard. Or maybe when you go to their place and they don't treat you that way.
Dessert.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think what they meant in that context was, do not keep score where keeping score can really can reduce joy in other aspects of life.
Yeah.
So when I say optimize for joy, it's also important for people to know that it's not always from a context of you can only do it when you are financially independent.
Okay. Yeah.
It's about knowing what to measure and what not to measure, acknowledging what else is important in your life other than money, right?
Oh, I see.
And
Yeah.
I think for me, those realizations came when I felt like my clients would be better off working on this with someone else who enjoys this a lot more than I do, which opened me to have open conversations with them and say, you know, I don't enjoy this kind of work and it's not on you. This is on me, where I think I need to take another path, need to do something else. And I would be very happy to help you no matter how much time it takes. Transition you, find you another person, negotiate the best rates with them, get you someone who can deliver value. And no matter how much time it takes, I want to assist you in transitioning. So don't think I'm going to give up on this, but this is what I'm up to. And they've all appreciated it. And so I think there were times when that happened. There were times when I realized that now in one business, my wife's a partner and she doesn't enjoy a certain kind of work. And I didn't want it to start coming into our personal life also.
Yeah.
And I wanted her to be happy as a person. And, you know, so there were certain business calls that we took and we're like, we're not going to do this. And even if it brings in revenue, that's okay. Let's not do this, because I don't want you to be stressed. I want you to enjoy your work. And she does that for me too. So it's both ways, right? I think you only get this context when you realize what else is important in life.
When you keep asking that question, right?
Yeah.
I think it's all about like what is important for me now. Yeah. And for you, or how do you know when it's enough?
How do you know when it's enough?
Enough, like for example, in terms of money, like how do you know that enough is enough?
It's easy. I'll tell you how it's easy. You know, for example, there's a rule which is called the 4% rule. Okay.
Okay.
Which essentially means that if you have whatever are your annual expenses of the household,
Mm-hmm.
expenses I meant, not income, that for you to be able to live a comfortable life without crazily expanding your lifestyle. Lifestyle inflation can go limitless and there's no limit to it.
Yeah.
Once you have an understanding of, you take certain joys and you take certain luxuries and you account for all of that. If you want to account for holidays, you want to account for whatever. Look at your annual expenses.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you multiply that with 25,
Mm-hmm.
that means your 1 year annual expense is going to be 4% of that number.
Can you say that again?
Yes, I'll explain. So for example, you realize your annual expenses, even when you take the best of holidays and buy best clothes and you take care of your kids' education and your spouse's interest and your interest and your parents' medical needs and everything, you realize that at best I'll end up spending 3 lakhs a month,
Okay.
for example.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, okay, 3 lakhs a month is 36 lakhs
Mm-hmm.
for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, okay, add another 10% in terms of contingency, say 40 lakhs.
40 lakhs.
40 lakhs.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're like, okay, 40 lakhs into 25 would be 10 crores.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 40 lakhs is 4% of 10 crores.
Yeah.
The reason it's 4% is because if you invest that corpus, if you invest that corpus well enough, say it can generate anywhere around 10 to 12% per annum. Safely, you don't even need to be like super risky for it. 10 to 12 is very, very
Oh, I
safe.
see. Yeah.
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 And you remove, say, 5-6% of inflation per annum,
Yeah.
you're still left with
Oh, I see.
a 4% sum
Yeah.
plus a little more which continues to compound over a
Yeah.
period of time because
Yeah.
not all years are the same.
Yeah.
It's one formula which gives you a thumb rule at what number
Yeah.
will you be set for life.
Yeah.
If it's invested well, the passive incomes can take care of your current lifestyle.
Yeah.
Now, the biggest issue with this is it's always a moving goalpost till the time you don't have this number in mind.
I see.
It's always a moving goalpost because from the time when you were at, say,
I see. Yeah.
20 lakhs per annum,
Yeah.
you've got into 1 crore per annum. Even though you're closer to your goal, but the environment has changed and your friends have changed and they're all buying luxury cars and they're all buying these luxury apartments and someone's getting a farmhouse. That suddenly even your initial number is not enough.
Yeah.
So
Then
I
you
think-
do what you do. You need to, it needs to be a moving.
no, it should not be moving because all the moving is essentially social pressure.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. In that sense. Yeah.
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 So the moment you have that one number in mind,
Yeah.
and then you are mentally strong enough to not fall prey to FOMO or social pressures.
Yes.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
At least now you know what is a realistic number which will take care of you for life from a money perspective.
I see. Yeah.
And the moment you understand that number,
yeah.
you can start and that number can be very different for a lot of people. Like you could be living in a tier 2, tier 3 city
Yeah.
in India where cost of living is barely anything and you've got an ancestral home, and barring your food, groceries and utility expenses, there may not be something big, right? So for your metric would be very different. Like for example, they say $1 million will keep you set is enough for if you want to live in Indian metro. $2 million set for you to be in any other part of the world. $3 million, you're also good to be figuring out a life in, say, expensive places like
Mm.
New York, London, Dubai.
Mm.
So one is what I think people in a lot of metro cities today, and I know even this gets a lot of flack because the other day I put out this post saying 70 lakhs is for a lot of people that I've noticed in my network.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they call Henrys, right? Like high earners, not rich yet. Because lifestyle inflation
Mm-hmm.
is going up so high in India at the moment.
Mm.
Um, the friends that I speak with, like I remember I was speaking with this friend whose son goes to this play school and they had a pool day or a pool party. And they mentioned that young girls coming to that school got 2 to 3 swimsuits on an average because they said, of course, I need a change of clothes and there are going to be pictures.
Mm.
I don't have kids, but I was like, this is really berserk. And the fact that all parents in Gurgaon are having to get their children multiple swimsuits
Yeah.
only for a pool party and play school.
Mm-hmm.
And they're feeling the social pressure because they don't want the child to feel bad.
Yeah.
And birthday parties, like I'm not kidding, there are people living in Delhi and not even the most upscale places in Delhi. And they say that birthday parties has become such a thing where even if you do a very bare bones birthday party, you end up spending 2.5 lakhs on your child's birthday party who's in kindergarten. But it's become a social norm because
Uh-huh.
when other people did it and they invited your child, you wanted your child to go so that your child made friends. And now that they've gone to everyone's party, it's your turn to host it, and it's become an endless loop. And that's how lifestyle inflation happens. I mean, you wouldn't think I need to do it, but suddenly you'll find yourself in an environment where you'll think for me to fit in, it's necessary. And then there's no limit to it, right? And
Yeah.
my context was to talk about those people
Yeah.
and saying that they would want to buy a house which today would cost about 3 crores in India. And then there were people in the comments saying that why would a person who's earning 70 lakhs buy a 3 crore house? They can clearly not afford it. I said, okay. The next day, I made a post about how the government has launched housing schemes for the economically weaker sector. And there are houses available in Mumbai, in Delhi for 50 lakhs, which people should apply for. And I got flack in the comments saying, have you even seen those houses and who would live there? So, unfortunately, you cannot satisfy everyone.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely okay. I love it when people hate me in the comments. I take it. It's the algorithms giving me an opportunity to test the fact that I'm not falling prey to social pressures of pleasing everyone. And I'm like, I'm okay. You can hate on me and you can say I'm an idiot, and I am. I don't know everything and I'm learning everything, and that's absolutely okay.
So what you say, so you started optimizing for joy.
Yeah.
So you understood what was enough for you from the revenue or from the finance point of view, and now you are optimizing for joy. People who, let's say, founders who are watching this conversation and their life is like crazy with stress and burning out with their businesses, what is the first step they can take if they want also to start optimizing for joy?
I'll tell you, when you like the business that you're doing, no matter what revenue pressure, stress, this, that, you love it. You're not looking forward to a weekend.
Yeah.
When you're not looking forward to a weekend and every day is a work day, that means you've already optimized for joy, right?
Yeah, true.
And see, stress is going to happen no matter what you do. But as long as it's within like permissible limits, if it's beyond that and you love your work, maybe there's another reason for stress, and maybe there's genetic reasons and whatnot. And that maybe a doctor would be able to advise best. But when you love your work, you get through everything because
so true.
Right? You get through everything. And I think what founders should know of is there's like the Venn diagram for business, and when you're building something, is speed,
Mm-hmm.
scale,
Mm-hmm.
and independence.
Okay.
If you want speed of activity and it's really we're fast growing,
Mm.
yeah, and you want scale, create something big, it has to be fast, you can't wait or the competition will come and get to us. You will have to give up on independence, which
Yeah.
is the third. And that you give up on because you will need capital, you will need people, you will need a lot more. And the moment you bring in capital,
Yeah.
you have to know you've given up on your independence. Or now,
Oh, I see.
this is no longer about optimizing joy. This is optimizing speed, scale,
Exactly.
and you've signed off
Yeah.
that now I'm not independent. I'm working for my stakeholders and my shareholders
Mm.
to deliver this value because they've come to me because their incentive is financial returns.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do that, you want independence and you want scale,
Yeah.
you want to create something big,
Yeah.
can't get speed. It'll come slow. It'll come with patience.
I love it. Yeah.
You need to have the
Yeah.
patience. And it'll take 10 years, 15
Yeah.
years. And then you need to think, am I okay doing this every day for the next 15 years?
Yeah. Wow.
Am I okay? Will I love it? This realization a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
And if you want independence and you want speed, every day I'm hustling, you won't really get scale
Mm-hmm.
because then you might build something which is a good service business,
Yeah.
or at times you just get lucky and something happens very quickly, or something scales very quickly. But do you have the mindset to know that these are lucky spikes and not, you don't extrapolate it to your life as this is how it's going to proceed?
Mm.
I think that realization, if people have soon enough, they'll be able to take a better decision on whether I need external capital. What is it that I'm optimizing for?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And what you're saying is like everyone has their own priorities. The most important is for people to understand the rules of the game, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Understand how the game works. I think a lot of people, they're not aware about the rules of the game, and then they struggle because they want independence, but then they go for capital.
Correct.
And then they're not in control, right? And they cannot have. So what I like about you is like you have this, the tree, you are aware about it. And then depending on what you're looking for, then you take the decision, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So good. We're coming to the end. If there's one thing that you would like people to remember from this conversation, what it would be?
I'll just talk about what shows up on my desktop, something that's been my desktop wallpaper. It says, hold the vision, trust the process, create value every day. And the reason I put it out there, when you say hold the vision, it always reminds you it's a long-term thing. It's a long-term thing. Trust the process puts you in the mindset to say there has to be a structure. I have to delegate because I've been the kind of person I'm like, I can do it. So it tells me that I need to build a system that people can grow with us. They can work independently. And create value every day is for me to not measure as much as what I'm getting from other people.
Yeah.
It's about how much am I willing to give.
Mm.
And I know a combination of these three is what gives me joy. So it's just something I want to keep looking at and keep reminding myself.
All right. So we at the end, it's hold the vision, trust the process, and add value every day.
That's right.
What a wonderful way to end our conversation.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much
Rodrigo.
for coming.
Thank you for having me.